The last thing I remember was the screeching of tires and the smell of burning rubber. Then, darkness for 5 long years. When I finally opened my eyes, the world was blurry. I expected to see my husband, Mark, holding my hand, crying with relief. I expected my little daughter, Lily, to be there. But the woman standing by my bed, she looked exactly like me. It was my twin sister, Elena. She wasn't crying. She looked at me with cold, calculating eyes. When the nurse called her Mrs. Sarah Markson, my heart stopped. Elena had not just looked after my family, she had moved into my house, put on my wedding ring and convinced everyone that she was me. To the world, I was the unstable twin who had been in a coma, and she was the devoted wife. The perfect replacement. As I regained my strength, I realized how deep the betrayal went. Elena had spent 5 years studying my journals, my passwords, and my mannerisms. She had even mimicked the way I laughed. Mark, my own husband, looked at her with such love, thinking she was the woman he married. When I tried to tell him the truth, he looked at me with pity. "Sarah, you've had a traumatic brain injury," he said. "Elena has been a saint, taking care of us while you were gone." He called me by my sister's name. They had switched our identities. In the eyes of the law, I was Elena, the troubled sister, and she was Sarah, the queen of the household, the cold confrontation. One night, when Mark was away, Elena came into my room. She didn't hide it anymore. She leaned in and whispered, "You were always the lucky one, Sarah. The perfect job, the perfect husband, the perfect life. You didn't deserve it. While you slept, I fixed everything. Lily calls me Mom. Mark loves me more than he ever loved you. If you try to tell them, I'll have you committed to a mental asylum. After all, everyone knows Elena has always been unstable." I realized then that I wasn't just fighting for my life. I was fighting a ghost who had stolen my soul. The discovery of the secret debt. I started acting like the submissive sister, pretending to accept my role as Elena. But secretly, I began digging. I knew Elena had a weakness. Before my accident, she was in deep trouble with some dangerous people over gambling debts. I searched my old house, now her house, while she was at a gala. In the back of my old closet, I found a hidden phone. There were messages from a man named Marcus. Elena hadn't just stolen my life for love. She had stolen it to hide from her past. She was using my bank accounts to pay off her old debts, bleeding my inheritance dry. The daughter's instinct. Children see things adults don't. My daughter, Lily, was now 7. One afternoon, while Elena was busy on a call, Lily sat next to me. She whispered, "You smell like the old mommy, the mommy from before the sleep." My heart broke. I realized Lily knew something was wrong, but she was too scared to say it. I told her a secret code, a nursery rhyme only she and I knew. When her eyes widened in realization, I knew I had an ally, but I told her to keep it a secret. We had to be smart. Setting the trap. I knew Elena was planning to sell my late father's estate, a property I was never supposed to sell. She needed the money to pay Marcus one last time. I contacted the estate lawyer, pretending to be Elena, the sister, and told him I had evidence that the current Sarah was struggling with memory loss and shouldn't sign any documents. I sowed seeds of doubt everywhere. I began leaving small things around the house, jewelry Elena didn't know about, photos she hadn't seen, to make her trip up. The Gala of Truth. The big night arrived. A charity gala in my name. Elena was dressed in my favourite red gown, glowing under the spotlight. I arrived, dressed simply, playing the role of the recovered sister. But I had the hidden phone, and the DNA samples I had secretly taken from her hairbrush. During her speech, I didn't scream or shout. I simply walked up to the sound booth and swapped her presentation slides with a video. The exposure. The screen didn't show charity work. It showed her recorded conversations with Marcus. It showed the bank transfers from my father's trust to a gambling syndicate. But the final blow, I walked onto the stage and sang the lullaby I used to sing to Lily. Lily ran to me, not her. The room went silent. I looked at Mark and said, "Mark, ask her about the scar on my shoulder from when we were 10. Ask her which twin has it." Elena panicked. She didn't know. She had never checked. The downfall. Elena tried to slap me, screaming that I was crazy. But the police were already there. I had called them about the embezzlement. Mark looked at her, then at me, the realization hitting him like a physical blow. The perfect wife was a fraud. As they handcuffed her, she screamed my name with a hatred that chilled the room. She had lost everything. The money, the house, and the family she tried so hard to steal. Taking back the crown. It took months to legally reclaim my name. Mark and I had a long road to travel. The betrayal had left deep scars. But holding Lily in my arms, knowing she was safe, was all that mattered. Elena is now behind bars, facing charges for identity theft and fraud. I learned that you can steal a person's clothes, their ring, and even their house. But you can never steal the bond between a mother and her child. My life was back. And this time, I was never letting go.